Hello everyone, Saint Virtual here. New leaks have just surfaced that a pending Final Fantasy exclusive for the PS5 will be announced at this year's E3. At first glance, this rumor seems highly absurd and unlikely considering Square Enix has its plate full with Final Fantasy XVI, Forspoken, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Endwalker, and perhaps even Dragon Quest XII. However, this leak comes from a very credible source who goes by the name Navatra. Now, if anyone who knows who Navatra is, this person is an extremely credible leaker, and many of their leaks has been 100% correct so far, which makes this rumor even that much more newsworthy. And this is what Navatra actually had to say. I believe you can expect at least one more major Final Fantasy announcement in addition to updates on the currently announced stuff. The post also goes on to say that it will be a good E3 season for Square Enix overall. He then concludes, I believe we're getting two major SE reveals this June, a PS5 exclusive Final Fantasy title and a cross-gen Idols title. We know that this new PS5 exclusive isn't related to any of Square's current projects, which leads me to believe this could very well be a Final Fantasy XVII game or a whole new Final Fantasy spin-off in some capacity. However, the keyword is major, and Navatra did say that this will be a major Final Fantasy announcement, which makes me more convinced that it's not a new Final Fantasy spin-off, but perhaps a mainline installment to some degree. My first guess would have to be that this could very well be related to Final Fantasy XI, as recent updates point to Final Fantasy XI receiving some sort of new rebranding, and if any of you watched my video on Final Fantasy XI that was uploaded last week, I do talk about this. And another guess that I have, which may be the more plausible one, is that this is related to something that no one is talking about. I'm actually surprised that it has been completely under the rug and no one is actually addressing it whatsoever. There's an untitled project that Luminous Productions is working on. Now, Luminous Productions is currently working on Forspoken, which is geared to be released very soon, either sometime by the end of this year or early next year. My guess is going to be early 2022. But there was another title that was ignored, a project by the codename Crimson Arbitrium. Many thought Crimson Arbitrium was Forspoken and that Luminous Productions was just working on one title, but there is another game in development for the AAA arena, and that is Crimson. The development for Crimson Arbitrium, which was the rumored codename at the time, started in 2018. But Forspoken's development started in 2014, which makes me believe that there were actually two separate titles and that Forspoken isn't Crimson Arbitrium, but perhaps Crimson Arbitrium is a completely separate title from Forspoken. If a new Final Fantasy game is to be announced, I wonder if Crimson Arbitrium is Final Fantasy XVII or related to the Final Fantasy universe in some way, and only time will truly tell. Chime in below and let me know what you guys think about this rumor. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe for more Final Fantasy and JRPG content from me. Do you think Crimson Arbitrium is Final Fantasy XVII? Have you guys heard of Crimson Arbitrium? Chime in below and let me know what you think. Until next video, take care.